It's only.
I feel like they.
Why you have to be mad?
Sorry, what was that?
Is he in Nashville? Am I close geographically?
They've
The
been cooking it
contracts.
up.
The contracts are coming in.
No one knows what he is. He's a big orange monster
Let's
with
see.
googly eyes.
He's
and
a gritty.
Okay.
Little.
The Florida lead.
What do you think of Owen's bracket? Do you remember it?
It's hopeful.
Welcome back, everyone. Episode 35, Bread Loves Hockey Podcast. It's just Dean and I today. We weren't able to procure anybody after some call-outs or whatever, I guess. So back to the normal audio setup. Thank goodness. We, again, apologize. I mean, there were only like 5 people that watched the last episode anyways, probably because of the the upload time being different or different length or what have you. So for anyone who did tune in, apologies for the glitchy audio and random cutouts and things like that, but we have more information for next time now.
It seemed okay though when I was editing. It wasn't as bad as.
Yeah, it definitely could have been worse, but there were definitely times where it's like I'm just assuming based on context clues like what Dean or what Owen is saying, just because like they just cut out like halfway through their sentence and then cut back in.
Oh well.
Yeah. Hey, we're not what you would consider professionals, so
We can make an Amazon wish list and put a microphone on there.
yeah. I mean, this one I don't know how much it was probably like $110 or $100 when I got it. It's probably around that same price still today. But I mean, yeah, if it's just you, like, you don't really need one. So I don't know how often it'll be that you'll have another guest over that will record live, but
I mean, we could have also just done it in separate rooms. That kind of defeated the fun of it.
yeah, that definitely part of the fun was having him there. Oh well.
How about the Preds?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Preds continue their point streak. They now have 18 consecutive games with a point, going 16-0-2 in that stretch. They just beat Vegas last night in overtime, coming down from a 3-0 deficit and a 4-1 deficit. So that was a tough one. I really would have loved for Vegas to get the 2 there, because we just can't seem to catch LA. They just keep winning, which is very frustrating. But I mean, they've been completely impressive, and this has all been started by the cancellation of the U2 trip to the Sphere. So that's still, that story is still going. Like, I know it feels like we talked about it, ages ago, because we did. Pretty crazy.
And then their other thing, as you mentioned, beating Vegas. You and Gifford were pretty adamant about the offside call, so I want to hear your take on that.
Okay, so I was at the time pretty adamant that the wrong call was made, and that that play looked offsides to me. This was a Predators goal that brought it within one, which they later we challenged and lost the challenge, and then they scored on the subsequent power play. So I was definitely upset, and based on how, I mean, it was a lengthy review. It was 5 minutes in real time of them just reviewing this offside. So I was I feel like they're gonna make the right call, but as it was going on longer and longer, I was this isn't looking good. So again, at the time, and based on what the Vegas feed was showing me, it did look like it was offside. But then I went back today, because you put it in the document. I went back today and looked at the Sportsnet had a video on it, and I think it was from the Predators' perspective, and like the camera angle they had. I'll just say I agree with what you're gonna say, as far as what it looked like.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, the refs should have the blue line camera, which I don't see on the broadcast.
Yeah,
So that might show something different. But I actually took screenshots from that video they were mentioning. So I was gonna screen share them, but I don't know if you want to turn the overlay off so it doesn't like screw things up. All right. So obviously this isn't like on the blue line, so it's not perfect. But you have this frame where
yeah.
the puck is onside, and I'd say that skate is onside,
I
right?
I would say so too. I mean, yeah,
They like since they changed the rule where like the skate can be in the air, so like I assume the little tail piece that's not making contact with the ice counts as
yeah,
being in the air and like inside the plane. And then the second one is the next frame, and the skate's off, and I can see a little white in between the puck here,
yeah.
but like it's tough because you don't know in between. You only have whatever 60 frames per second, 30 maybe. So like these are your two.
That's what you have, yeah. And
So you're onside, like both are on the blue line, both are in the zone, and like so it's not conclusive. If you could like break it down in between that, maybe it was offside, but you can't prove it.
so yeah, this is why they took so long to review it, and then the PR NHL account, always tweets like the rulings on these things and like says, well, they don't usually break anything down, which they didn't really on this one, but they just put it out and said there was inconclusive evidence, or there wasn't conclusive evidence that that Zucker went in before the puck. So,
All
yeah,
nice was a goal, so like again, need something conclusive. I just wish they like relayed it better when they made the call. Like they said after reviewing the play, it was decided it was like onside. I wish they said the call on the ice was onside and the review was inconclusive, so the goal stands or whatever. Like I wish
yeah,
they kind of gave a sentence or two and instead of just saying, "Yep, it's onside."
yeah. It probably would be nice to get that during the game, like watching it live. But yeah, so it was tough. I mean, I do think, yeah, if you had like 120 frames per or whatever, maybe you could find some spot where his skate completely crossed before the puck was all the way over, like, you know. Um, but
Again, I'm anti-review,
yeah,
so like
agree.
those where you need 120 frames to get one of those frames to show if it's on or off. It's like, why are we bothering? Why are we spending?
Yeah, which is why I think that they probably made the right decision ultimately, which sucks to feel, but like that's what happened, and then they let up the next two goals, and lose in overtime, which was tough. They were pretty. I thought that they had the more dominant game, and that they should have won that one. I didn't end up checking what the deserve a win meter was looking like. Maybe it evened out a little bit more towards the end, obviously, but it was a tough one to swallow.
Yeah.
And of course, we haven't introduced him yet, but there's a new member of our hockey group chat, named Foster, who is a Predators fan, and he was like, "Yeah, I went to bed at 4-1 and was like happily surprised to wake up to it being 5-4 in overtime." I'm like, "Yeah, I bet you were. I was I was pretty disappointed going to bed that night."
I'm a Vegas fan because you don't stay up for all of them. Like if it's 4-1, Vegas is down. You're like, I'm going to bed.
I would definitely do the same thing. Um,
Yeah.
Luckily,
Money
this
puck.
one was an 8 o'clock start, which was very nice, so I could watch the whole thing.
Vegas was 45% on the win-up meter.
Okay, so maybe it was just more of the eye test and me like watching. I don't know. It just feel like how they were playing, especially like being able to get consistent, like high danger chances and like a lot of offensive, a lot of ozone time, like per chances in. I guess it was like it felt like they were creating a lot more of the strong plays, but apparently not, because they lost.
Yes. You want to talk about some college hockey?
Yeah, lots of leagues are starting to wrap things up, NCAA included. So the women's tournament has already concluded. We were obviously following the Clarkson women's team, who did not end up making it all the way. They win a round and then they lose to the eventual champions in Ohio State, who had, like, I don't know if you saw their bracket path, but they were pretty dominant. Like they played they played UConn, and who was the number 1 seed, I believe, and beat them like 9-0.
Yeah, I think I saw that. It's crazy.
So it's like, okay, losing to them is probably, the best you can feel, I guess, as far as losing. Like, okay, these women were like clearly on a tear this year, so there was probably no stopping them. Beating Wisconsin, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, Ohio was the first seed. We were the fourth. Lost 4-1 in the Frozen Four, and then Wisconsin, who was the second seed, beat Colgate 3-1.
Oh, so
And
Ohio State was the 1 seed. Okay, I thought it was UConn that was the 1 seed, but I guess not.
according to this, and then Ohio State beat Wisconsin 1-0 in the championship.
Yeah, like, that's kind of lame, especially if you're a Wisconsin fan. But getting that one big, like, especially if it was like a late in the game goal, like, I'm sure there's a lot of energy around that, unless it's like scored in the first period and then that was it for the rest of the game.
I mean, just as a team, that's impressive to do, like, hold lead all game. But
Yeah,
Wisconsin put out SLU 4-0, so that's cool.
yeah, I did see SLU made it in there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it makes you wonder because, like, again, if Ohio State can put up 4 on Clarkson and then only 1 against Wisconsin, it's like maybe we wouldn't beat Wisconsin either. But
Yeah.
Frozen Four is impressive, and obviously they've gotten their championships in the past. So
Yeah, not too long ago. Been a while for the men's team, unfortunately. Who, yeah, they didn't do much of anything, unfortunately, and so they didn't qualify for the final bracket, which starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
Top 16. So should be pretty
Yeah,
fascinating.
talking about how, like, Brendan and I don't really follow much college hockey, so we thought it'd be interesting to, like, give some of our predictions that have no merit.
Yeah.
And who we will win. I mean, I know Denver won last year.
Denver won last year.
Sure.
And I don't think I would have known that, actually.
I gotta double check. To make
Not.
sure.
I feel like, I mean, they're a 3 seed this year. I feel like they're not necessarily the top ones.
I thought it was something where, or I guess, maybe 2 years ago, because I think it was when the Avs won. DU also won.
Oh,
And the lacrosse team, I think, won. They had like 3 championships or something.
and then the Nuggets won the following NBA season.
Yeah, I gotta see if I can find a list of, like, all the champions.
Boston College is the 1 seed. Probably not a huge surprise there with some of the top prospect names that they have on that team.
Yeah, Denver won in 2022.
Okay, so same year as the Avalanche then, yeah.
And the Quinnipiac was last year.
Oh, Quinnipiac. That sounds more familiar. Just want to get the full name. Roster.
I don't think they have. Have they made it to the? They've made it to the finals a lot. So this Wikipedia article goes back to 1948, and all these were played in the same Colorado Springs arena. But the losing team was like Dartmouth, Brown, Let's see. I think I saw St. Lawrence, Clarkson, like a lot of like Ivy or like ECAC teams. Like Clarkson has made the finals a lot, but never won. I don't think. 1, 2, 3.
They've never won. Damn, I
No.
thought they had at least won one time, but damn. I mean, the women have won.
But the last time they made the finals was 1970, and they played that in Lake Placid against Cornell. Cornell versus Clarkson, 1970.
Oh man, 1970. Yeah, I mean,
They made it in 1966 and 1962.
they just don't like. They can usually roster like a pretty competitive team, but they just never. They can't get the same draw as some of the bigger hockey schools, especially based on location. Like, yeah, I'd much rather play.
The difference is
I didn't get it. Your mic like is picking up like every other like word kind of.
the women's team's able to like draw in a lot of talent. So it's interesting that the men's like I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, that's
then-
true. I don't know. Maybe it's just like more of the like sort of a snowball effect where if they start having getting the reputation that they're a good program, that they'll and that are a competitive program that they'll be able to draw more um prospective players that way. And I don't know, maybe just the men's team doesn't have that same like high standard as far as reputation goes. Um, like Boston College and uh, Northeastern, some of the West Coast teams like Minnesota and Michigan State, obviously. So
Yeah. That's why I switched something on my mic, so that might be better.
okay, yeah, I haven't noticed it.
Okay.
Just to give you some names you might be familiar with who are on the Boston College team this year. Jacob Fowler, who's a goaltender. Will Smith, Ryan Leonard. Let's see, Cutter Gauthier, who's been talked about fairly recently. Gabe Perreault as well. So there's maybe a handful of other ones that are around that same level. But yeah, those are some pretty high end. I think they're all first round NHL picks. So they're gonna be the team to watch for sure as the 1 seed playing Michigan Tech.
And BU is the number 2 seed. 'Cause that was the whole thing when they played each other
Yeah,
in
at
like
the
the.
Bean-
I think they play in the Bean Pot.
Beanpot, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think it was Boston College. I think that came out on top on that one.
I forget. I think they play each other a few times though. But yeah. Do you think both Boston teams make it to the Frozen Four?
I'm just trying to see who. I mean, yeah, I think they'd be able to go through RIT, and I don't know. It doesn't seem like I haven't heard a ton of buzz about Minnesota. Maybe a little bit. So for Boston University, that would be their path would be RIT, and then either Minnesota or Omaha. I was very surprised when I saw Omaha on there. I feel like that's a team that maybe historically doesn't get in that often.
And RIT hasn't been in a while. Like they haven't. Well, they weren't great when we were playing. Or
Yeah.
in college, not playing.
Yeah, when
Back
Dean
in
and I
the
were
day.
hitting the ice back in the day. Yeah, I don't think they've been historically very. Obviously, they're the 15 seed, so
Right.
they just squeaked in. But
Yeah, Cornell, Quinnipiac, both in.
some familiar faces for sure.
And UMass normally is a lot higher than 14. I feel like.
Yeah, I would say so. I think the path to the Frozen Four is a little bit tougher for Boston College. I mean, Michigan Tech, they probably should be able to do okay, but then I feel like either Wisconsin or Quinnipiac, just historically, both of those clubs have been pretty strong. So I could see either one of them making the upset, but I don't know. It's tough. Like if I had to put my money on it, it would be tough to count these guys out. With like with the NHL caliber talent that they have on the team.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna arbitrarily pick my Frozen Four.
Okay.
Um, so on the lower half of the bracket, I'm gonna pick Denver and BU, 3 and 2 seeds. Not very crazy.
Not crazy,
Uh,
no.
and then obviously Boston College. But then I feel like I gotta go out and go crazy with this last pick.
Ooh, how
Maybe
crazy.
go with the wait, let me make sure one of these teams isn't playing. We'll go with the 6th seed North Dakota.
You know what? I feel like I've heard some stuff about North Dakota this year, and I know that they draw really well. There was some upset about like the arenas that these first round matchups are going to be played in are like a lot smaller than like the home arenas for both like for this specific example of North Dakota versus Michigan is the one that I heard the complaints about. Like, yeah, their home arenas are a lot larger, and it's like 2,000 people for the arena that they're playing in, so it's kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess drawing a lot of people doesn't necessarily mean that the team's good. I mean, what else are you gonna do in North Dakota?
Right.
Maybe something. I don't know.
I mean, same with like the student section at Clarkson games. Even if the team sucks, I'm sure it's full. I mean, we were lucky enough where they were good while we were there. But
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would have
again,
went
they're
to
the only D1 team.
I
So
would have went to everything, no matter how bad they were. I feel like
yeah.
I would have been more painful, sure, but I definitely would have been
Mm-hmm.
there.
Do you
Then
want
we
to make
never.
any predictions?
Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna go with Wisconsin over Boston College, just because I don't know. Feels like maybe one of those years, even with how strong they are and everything that I just said. I'm just gonna throw that out the
Sure.
window, and
Why not?
I'll go with Michigan State as the other one. Though could see. So we're already getting Michigan State versus Western Michigan, and then either one of them could potentially play Michigan. So you got three different Michigans all in a row. But I'll go with Michigan State to make it, and
All
then
right.
uh yeah I can't see I can't see Maine or Cornell or Massachusetts beating Denver, so I'll also go with them. And it's tough to it would be tough to not see Boston University go too. Maybe Minnesota. I'll go with BU, just for the safe picks. As I kicked the other Boston team out, gotta get at least one of them into the four.
Who are your 4 teams? BU, Wisconsin, and Michigan.
Michigan State and Wisconsin. Oh, and Denver.
Gotcha. And while we're at it, I'll say that Boston College beats Denver 3-2 in overtime.
Ooh. Okay, we got the final prediction and the score
Mhm.
prediction and everything. Overtime obviously would be very exciting. Um, I feel
That'll
like
be played in St. Paul, Minnesota. I mean, that's where it is every year.
I mean yeah that they kind
I
of
feel like it's always in St. Paul.
they always gotta get the championships. Minnesota is just like so crazy for
Oh no,
hockey.
no, I was in St. Paul in 2018. Buffalo, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Boston, Tampa. Ooh, it's gonna be in Vegas 2026, T-Mobile Arena.
Oh, so it's going to be. Oh yeah, so it is gonna be in. It's gonna be in XL Energy Center. Very cool. Um, Allentown. Oh no, not. Oh, Enterprise Center next year. Cool.
And it has the Wikipedia article has like the host cities and how many times. It was in Utica not too long ago. Actually, never mind. That was a long time ago.
Well,
1962.
I was like, really, Utica? That's a surprise.
Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts.
That's cool.
Albany twice. Lake Placid
Albany?
3 times.
Yep.
Denver 4 times. Yeah, and then Colorado Springs it was just there every year at the beginning, so it's been 11 times.
Wow, that's a lot.
Broadmoor Ice Palace.
I think I'll have to go with Wisconsin to take it, since since they lost in the women's tournament. The men's team will take it on this year.
Will avenge them.
Yeah, avenge them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Nice.
that's what I'll say. I
The
won't give a.
winning it all.
You never know. You just got to make it in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Might not have the same effect as I mean, even in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you don't get the wild card teams winning too often. I think the Kings were the last wild card team to win.
You wonder how it is in college hockey, like how much of the seeding actually is, like how often the one seed wins. Like March Madness, it's like always upsets.
Yeah, I feel like historically it's like the 2 and the 3 seeds that win. Maybe I mean, I'm sure 1 seeds win too, but yeah, I feel like it's a lot of the times it's like the 2 seeds. You don't get anything past like 3, I feel like, though. With a round of 64, like, yeah, there's too many gauntlets, I feel like, to get through in order to survive as a team that was underseeded. Well, not underseeded, just not very good. I don't think my team's doing very well, or my bracket.
Oh yeah, your preseason bracket.
No, my March Madness bracket.
Oh, I thought I was starting a couple days later, and I just missed it. I was like, oh well. So I don't think anyone has good brackets though.
Yeah, and
There's a guy in the NFL that had a
really-
perfect bracket for a little bit. He was like 0.0001% or something.
There was like at one point like 300 or something left, and then one of the games ended. It was like, yep, they're gone.
They're gone.
It's like, yeah, you pretty much never make it to even like the full round of 64 completing before all of them are gone. It's just so astronomically high, or unlikely that anyone will ever get a perfect bracket. It's 63 binomial choices in a row that you have to get right. Like, even if they're weighted based on like the seating, and I'm sure you can have a ton of information about it, but shit happens. Like, that's nature. You're never gonna get that many. I mean,
That's
maybe
like
somebody.
how Warren Buffett said he'd give $1 billion to anyone who gets like a perfect bracket, just because like
Yeah,
it's never gonna happen.
it's like, I know I'm not giving that $1 billion away, unless somebody found a way to cheat it, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like there's no way you could try to fool a billionaire into believing that you guessed them all right by cheating.
Yeah. According to the NCAA website, they have the odds if you just guess or like flip a coin on every single one, like knew nothing about it. And let's see, million, billion, trillion, quadrillion. What's after quadrillion?
Quintillion.
Quintillion. Well, let's say 9.2, 1 in 9.2-ish quintillion. That you have a perfect bracket. But if you know a little something about basketball, they say 1 in 120.2 billion.
Billion. Oh my
Much
god.
better odds.
Yeah, that's much better. I mean, it is, but because like your brain can't even fathom the size of what did you say, 9.7 quintillion or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah.
7.2.
9.2. And if you
9.2.
put it in like scientific notation, times 10 to the whatever, 13,
Oh
3,
my
6,
gosh.
9, 12, 14, 16. 9.2 times 10 to the 16.
Yeah, you just can't comprehend how large that is. It's just, yeah. But you know what? Maybe we're in the parallel universe, the timeline that the stars align, a shit ton of stars, and somebody does it.
Well, if you do, well, I don't know, maybe not the 9.2 number, but 120 billion. If you have, I don't know, how many people do March Madness every year? Do that times
Like
200,
30
300
million.
years, maybe you start getting closer.
Yeah,
Maybe it becomes 1 in 1 million odds.
yeah, that's true.
It happens.
And multiple people do multiple brackets too.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah, it's just all about the number of brackets submitted each year, and somebody just knows a lot and guesses right a lot. But yeah, even
About
even guessing the full like Stanley Cup playoff run is like it's possible, but it seems so. At least for me, like I'll never get it right, get a perfect bracket.
about 55 million people submit brackets every year.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's just tough.
I went with I'm starting a new strategy, which I guess Gifford will discover if he watches this podcast on Sunday. But I'm waiting, letting him pick first, and then just switching one letter from his
Mm,
because I gotta do something. I think I'm down by 3, and we're running out of time.
yeah, I mean, I think it's impossible for me to get the W at this point. But
Yeah. Oh wait, this just in. We have a fight. No hat tricks for me or Gifford tonight.
oh, that's good for me. I said yes to a fight.
I almost did. We got Trent Frederick and who was that? It was 84. I couldn't read his name.
Uh,
Oh, Freddie's bleeding bad.
84 on the Lightning.
Like Jeanette, Jean, Jeanette, Jeanette.
Oh, Tanner Janot.
You know, that's what it is.
He's the one
I like.
who got traded for like all those picks
Oh yeah,
at the deadline last year.
yeah. Oof. Oh, that first punch. Freddie got hit with an uppercut. And
Oh,
that was basically it.
Freddie didn't do so well.
Just the quick punch, and then he just kind of was like down.
Ooh. He's been
I
having a
almost put
year.
yes. 'Cause there was a fight last night, like the Panthers game, Bruins Panthers. It was very playoff hockey esque.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, either of those teams could be a first round matchup for the Bruins this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's seeming like Toronto. We'll see. I mean, obviously the win against the Panthers helps a lot. We have where the Panthers have one game in hand, but we are up 2 points on them. So, but obviously they would probably get the tiebreaker because we don't have as many regulation
Not
wins.
nearly the same amount. Yeah.
They have 5 more.
Oh, okay. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're getting closer and closer to seeing what the playoff picture is going to look like. You know, some teams have like 10 games, 11 games left on their schedule. We have had our first team clinch playoffs. The New York Rangers, first to 100 points as well. First team to 100 points, and they clinched with an overtime win against Philadelphia, 6-5. That one was pretty interesting. Um, so
And the Bruins would have clinched if the what was it? The Caps didn't win in overtime. They squeaked out 1 point.
yeah, they
Or
needed a
sorry,
regulation win.
Detroit squeaked out 1 point. If they
Yeah,
had
so
beat
that one was
Detroit in
close.
regulation. Yeah.
They have a chance to clinch tonight, though. The Bruins do.
hmm Yeah, I don't know if it's just a win or if there's anything else, like if someone needs to lose or what.
I thought it was maybe get a point, and maybe get a point and Buffalo loses, or just get a win. I can't remember.
I forget what website I found. Oh, it is this website. This is a nice website. Playoffstatus.com. It basically has all these clinching options. Like it has how to clinch first round home ice advantage. First round. Let's see. And yeah, it says like no clinching cases for this spot. But for playoffs, so you could clinch spot 8 in the playoffs essentially tonight is how, like, because you're clinching the playoffs, you get clinch the bottom spot.
Yeah.
But we can also clinch spot 7 tonight. So yeah, if the Bruins, let's see. So if we beat the Lightning, and if we beat the Lightning, we clinch number 7 spot. Or case 2, we lose an OT or a shootout, and the Flyers lose. So there's like 3 cases for spot 7, 3 cases for spot 8.
But the Flyers don't play tonight. I guess that would be for tomorrow then.
Flyers lose to the Canadians in regulation. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably tomorrow.
Must be tomorrow.
Um,
Next day.
even if the Bruins lose in overtime or a shootout, we get playout. We clinch.
Okay, so that's So it is just a point. Just a point.
Even
tonight.
if they lose just altogether, if the Red Wings lose to the Hurricanes tomorrow, then we're good. Or if the Flyers lose to the Canadians in regulation. But yeah, this is a cool website.
Yeah, that'll get much more useful as we get closer to, playoff time. So, thank you to playoffstatus.com for your contribution today, and for potential future uses. We also have had some more teams mathematically eliminated in the Ducks, the Blue Jackets, and the Coyotes have now all been mathematically eliminated. Coyotes, remember, if you watched before the season began, I was toying with the idea of having them in my preseason bracket, but ended up wisely going against that idea and saying that they weren't quite ready, and that will be the case. Obviously, the Ducks and Blue Jackets were not really on many people's mind as far as making the jump to playoffs this year. But so that's now 5 teams. Owen is still holding out hope for the Senators. Poor guy. I mean, he really
Not
isn't.
eliminated yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what they need. Like, if they literally lose tonight, if that's it, or I didn't see that, but I feel like it's got to be close to it.
Do you think? I wonder if this website has elimination
Yeah, it might.
scenarios.
Not. I mean, obviously, they're not gonna make it. Like, come on.
Senators elimination options.
Perfect.
I love this website. The Senators lose to the Sabres in regulation, and the Lightning beat the Bruins. Oh, so it could happen tonight.
Yeah, it could happen tonight. The Senators could be eliminated live on the show. Well, probably not by the time that probably will be done before that. But, yeah, I'll say by next episode they are gone. They are certainly gone. Sabres probably not too far behind. They've been there's been like 4 Eastern teams that are still flirting with it. Some of them are pretty much edge cases. Sabres and Devils with long shot chances. And then Red Wings, Flyers, Capitals, Lightning are in that probable area, with Lightning are pretty much a guarantee. Flyers a little bit better or a little bit worse than that, and I think Caps are around 70% something.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, the Caps are in a wild card spot.
Yeah.
Right now,
They're
2 points ahead of Detroit, and they have a game in hand.
And do they have a game in hand on Philly too?
Does Washington?
Yeah.
They have 2 games in hand.
Okay, so yeah, because I think, honestly, they could be pushing for 3rd in the Metro, which is it's crazy it's kind of crazy to think about. I mean, we didn't think the Flyers were gonna be here either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Ovi and also Dylan Strome has been having a good year. Those 2 guys are kind of just you know what, the Capitals are gonna make it. Pacioretty's staying, wanting to stay rather than going to another Eastern team at the trade deadline also helps. I don't know if he's been really scoring a ton, but just I'm sure part of it is morale. This guy chose to stay. He believes in this group, so we're gonna do everything we can to try to make a late push here.
It's funny because the Caps sold at the deadline.
Yeah, they
now
traded
they're doing better.
Edmondson and somebody else, at least Kuznetsov.
Yeah.
But I don't know where the Penguins fit in either, but I think they're pretty much done.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, I think. Well, yeah. The Tampa, I think, has the first wild card locked because they're not going to catch Toronto. They have 85 points,
I mean, I feel
and
like I saw
Washington 81.
some scenarios like they were like not that far out from catching Toronto. Probably they
They're
don't.
4 points behind.
Yeah, I don't know. Toronto's lost a couple now, but yeah,
Yeah.
they're probably gonna do just enough to keep the 3 seed.
There's really just to me like Detroit and Washington fighting for that last wild card in the East. Um, the Devils are there with 76 points, and Detroit has 79 with a game in hand above them. So that one tough.
And what's Washington at wild card 2? How many points do they have?
81.
Okay, yeah, so
Yeah, I think the
not gonna
East
be
is
good.
pretty much like I mean you can shift spots, but I think basically Detroit or Washington as that final spot.
Yeah. And the West is pretty much figured out, I think, as far as the teams that are going to be in it. I think it's just a matter of getting that final seeding. The whole like the Central has been so back and forth with like the Jets, Stars, and Avalanche all at some point like having the top seed. So we'll see how that one shakes out. The Jets have been on a little bit of a losing streak lately. Avs just lost to the Canadians last night in regulation too. Ducks or not Ducks. Stars have been doing pretty well. So it's gonna be tight, and that might determine who Vegas plays if they make it in as the wild card too. But again, the President's Trophy race is also really tight. I think like a couple days ago there were like 7 different teams, all within 1 point of first in the league. So things have never been
Yeah.
tighter as far as the top teams all pushing for number 1 seed.
Yeah,
Just
and like you
pretty
said in the
crazy.
West, I think it's like all the teams that are in because like behind Vegas is St. Louis with 6 points less. So
And yeah,
yeah, I mean
Minnesota's
Vegas is
probably in the
only
same boat, like 6 or 7 points back.
they're 9.
9, yeah. Yeah, Kraken are pretty much done. Flames are
Hmm.
done.
The
So
Avs are 9-1-0 in their last 10. Stars are 8-2, and yeah, like you said, the Jets are 4-5-1. Not the time of year you want to be slumping.
yeah,
Oilers 5-3-2.
they just beat the Jets in overtime last night.
And Nashville 8-0-2, as we discussed with their point streak continuing.
How many points out are they for third in the Central? I don't think they'll be able to catch any of those teams. I'm just curious.
Um, they're Winnipeg has 94 points. Nashville has 90.
Wow, that would be quite the shakeup after like if after the strong start and like that long stretch with all those less than 3 goals per game um,
Mm-hmm.
stretch that the Jets had, if they not really crumbled, but if they gave up what could have been a top 3 seed in the Central um, to Nashville, who was pretty much counted out like halfway through this season, that would be something. And I feel
Yeah.
like you're not gonna want to play the Predators in the first round this year. I'm I'm my hope is that it's the Predators versus the Canucks because I feel like the Canucks would lose that matchup. At least
Really?
how the teams are playing right now, I would say that one would go the distance and the Predators would end up
Mm.
end up winning.
Do you think Vegas ends up in the 3 seed?
I don't know. That's what would probably have to happen in order to make that work. Maybe not. If they were, yeah, if the Preds were the wild card one, I guess, depending on how Vancouver ends up. But I don't think we're gonna be able to catch LA. They just seem to be shifting into another gear. There was a quote from a player saying that they're not really playing hockey right now. They're kind of just like keeping it along the boards and playing like boring hockey and making it so that way neither team gets to play. and that sounds infuriating and definitely a recipe for playoff success. So, I think Vegas is gonna make it in as the wild card too. We're just gonna make things tough, and obviously, no home ice advantage throughout the whole playoffs.
Yeah. If you got wild card 2, you would then play. Well, right now you'd play Dallas.
That's a tough draw for sure. I
Who
mean,
would
we
you
did
want
beat them
to?
last year. If we were the wild card too, who would I want to play?
Or just like out of the teams that are gonna make the playoffs in the West.
Um, if we made it in as the third seed, I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm underrating them, but I feel like the Oilers wouldn't be that bad of a matchup for us.
Mm.
Even though like they arguably gave us our toughest test in the playoffs last year. Like I don't know, I feel like we have that experience where we could do it again. Um, could also, I mean, the way that the Jets are playing right now, and we beat them last year too. I feel like they wouldn't be too bad as a first round opponent, but I think
Yeah.
that seems unlikely at this point with how the Jets are playing. They're not going to be able to usurp Colorado or Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess looking at the Bruins, like realistically who we could match up against. Like right now, I mean again, we're a game up on Florida, so we're ahead of them. So we'd be playing I guess the Rangers would have Washington, so we'd play Tampa, who we're playing right now.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I don't know.
I think.
Detroit scares me too. I think I'd like to play the Caps. I think a lot of people would like to play the Caps.
Mm,
But I've said it before, like Bruins Flyers would be cool.
yeah, I feel like as far as like entertainment goes, there isn't uh Bruins versus anyone in right now matchup that I wouldn't think would be interesting to watch.
Yeah. Well, Bruins Toronto would be the most entertaining, but also the scariest as a
Definitely.
Bruins fan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wonder if Bruins fans are more scared of playing the Panthers or the Maple Leafs in the first
Mm,
round.
I mean, based on the matchup itself, the Panthers, but based off uh the media fallout,
Potential
the
embarrassment.
the Maple Leafs, yeah.
Yeah. True. Yeah. I as somebody who would be rooting for the Bruins but wouldn't be heartbroken when they lose, I would if they lose. I would say Florida would be the one I would want them to play the least.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I feel like it'll probably be the Toronto matchup or Lightning would be my guess.
That does seem like the two. Yeah, I think everyone's expecting Toronto, but I mean, again, who knows? The Bruins and Florida are both pretty close right now, and again, the win we had over them the other night was big. So we'll see. 9 games to go for the Bruins.
How do you feel they've been playing as of late?
Okay, I feel like they've been streaky. Like they've had win streaks, they've had losing streaks.
Yeah, they have.
I forget if it was before this game or the other day, but like they basically did like a bag skate in practice, like which you don't normally see this time of year. It's
Yeah.
like doing like sprints or whatever. Um,
Yeah, I remember
so I don't
seeing
know.
Montgomery was upset.
And like we have some interesting, so, like we traded for Andrew Peak, I think is his first name, from Columbus, and like he's been playing pretty well. Like just as like a sixth, seventh defender. So like there's some interesting lineup choices for the playoffs. Like we got Shattenkirk, Peak, Wotherspoon, like a couple guys like that who would slot in there.
Yeah, you got some
Um,
options.
Pat Maroon, if he even gets healthy, like that will add a different dynamic. And as far as the goalie tandem goes, like Olmark, Freeman's kind of been like meh lately. He's had some rough games.
Mm.
Like I think Olmark would be the starter, but I think from what we learned last year,
Yeah.
if a couple losses, then you'd switch to Swayman. So I don't know. I'm not super confident going into the playoffs, like if it started tomorrow kind of thing. But like I'm also I feel like we have a better idea this year of like we have less expectations going in, which is kind of helpful.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the same time, like I feel like you have this story where like normally the team that wins like experienced heartbreak recently, and like obviously the Bruins had that last year, so that could also be like a narrative if you want it to be.
Yep, definitely. As for how I'm feeling about Vegas, so we were also having some goalie troubles in that Aiden Hill got injured. He did not join the team for their 4-game road trip. They'll be on their third game now after playing St. Louis and Nashville. So Patera was in net for the loss against Nashville last night, which he actually looked pretty good. Obviously, let in some ones at the end, but I didn't really think it was his fault that we lost the game. And Thompson luckily has been like picking it back up after being not playing his best hockey lately. Before now. So I don't know. We'll just see how things go. If Hill's gonna be able to make a return before the end of the regular season, which I think he will. And then I don't know. The rest of the team seems to be picking it back up. Eichel seems good. Marchessault looks like he might be able to break William Karlsson's goal scoring record from the first year, which was 43 goals. So that would be cool, especially because he's a UFA this summer. So we would really like for him to stay. They gotta find a way to keep him, even if it means maybe losing Hannafin or Antha or somebody else from the core. I don't know. It just feels like you can't get rid of that guy. But that's a discussion for the off season, because I don't think an extension is going to happen at this point. So yeah, we'll see. Obviously, I'm looking forward to when Hurdle comes back, which I don't think we have quite a timeline on that yet. I know he has skated with the team, but I don't think we're that close. But I'll be.
Is Aiden Hill like the starter, or do you have like a kind of 1A 1B situation with Thompson?
Most of the year it was Hill's net this year, which was kind of in contrast to, and I actually mentioned this to Gifford. I was kind of like, this is not how Vegas has historically operated with their goalie tandems. Like maybe with Fleury and Subban, it was more like this. But then like after, like once we had the Fleury Leonard tandem, and like kind of from then on, like we've been operating with some sort of 1A 1B, with a lot of split starts and stuff like that. But Hill has kind of been the de facto starter this year. He got like 4 or 5 games in a row, and I was kind of like, really? He's starting again? Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just more used to and more comfortable with the trading starts. Just feels like it works better, but I don't know.
Has there been any update on Mark Stone?
I haven't heard anything. So I don't think coming back for day one of playoffs is a lock. Like, all the Twitter jokers were saying. I could be proven wrong.
We'll do game 2 so that they don't get backlash.
Yeah, second game of playoffs. Like, see, he was really hurt.
Yeah.
No, he definitely has a serious injury. But obviously, I would like for him to be back day one of playoffs, or game 1 of playoffs for sure. If he's available, if he's like good to go. But I don't want to, rush anything.
Yeah.
Because
you hope it's a long playoff series or playoff
run.
Yes, run. That's the word.
Yes, definitely. Get the repeat going. But we got some time. And just to close out on some recent goalie injury news, it sounds like Francouz, who Dean had mentioned in our last episode, if you check that one out, is likely going to be forced to retire due to injury, kind of similar to like a Carey Price sort of situation. He's had bad history with lower body injuries the past couple of seasons. I think like 3 seasons now. He's missed like significant chunks of time in each one. So that's unfortunate. Feels like, Avs faithful really took a liking to him, but just couldn't stay healthy, and so that's kind of gonna be where it ends most likely.
Yep. Bummer.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for sure. And he was part of that cup run team too, so that's another tough part about it. I mean, he wasn't the starter for the playoffs, but still, he was part of the team during the regular season, I believe.
Speaking of the Avalanche, Nathan MacKinnon now holds the second longest home point streak to start a season at 34 consecutive games. The only person to do it or have more than that, Brendan? Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky.
He had it in all 40 of his home games in the 88-89 season.
Which, that's just insane.
Yeah. Do we know how many more home games the Avalanche have?
We could find out, I'm sure.
And is it more than 6?
I hope it is.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. I want him to either get it or not get it based on his own skill and not just like a scheduling thing.
Yeah, right. Because normally
Also,
it's
it kinda
41
sucks,
and
like,
41.
I want it to be exactly 40 so that he ties. Because I don't want him to beat Gretzky also on the scheduling thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you just beat Gretzky because he only had 40 home games.
Yeah, like, you never know. Like, maybe if they had one more game, they could have. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 games left. If he wins, if he gets a point in all 7 of those games, he passes
I want him
Gretzky.
to get to 40 to tie Gretzky, and then in the final game of the season, there's an empty net, and he chooses to, well, I guess passing it, he still get him a point. He just flips it over the
Yeah.
glass, just
Yeah.
like as to pay respect to the great one.
He just goes into the corner boards, covers the puck, and waits the clock out.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like, Gretzky, I love you. I'll do
I don't think
anything.
McKinnon's the kind of guy that would give up a goal or a record of any kind.
Yeah. He's leading the league in points right now. He's just had a monster year.
Oh,
So,
well, also, you posted
certainly a
this
hard game.
tweet on the 24th, and then a day ago, the NHL posted, yep, he's done it again, 35-game point streak.
Oh, so then, so he has
That was yesterday.
what, 42 games then? How does that work? No, he would have to have 6. Then he have to have 6 games left. Ah, I just closed it.
This was
I swear I counted
game
7.
yesterday.
But maybe not. Maybe I miscounted. I feel like there's no way I could miscount 7. I would hope.
I'm going to look now.
Yeah. We'll have Dean's on the case. He can count better than I can.
Yeah.
While Dean,
well, that's crazy. So, yesterday, they lost 2-1, and he got a point. So
Yeah.
One goal. I wonder how many close calls there's been like that.
where just the only goal scored he was a factor on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so yesterday would be 35, then we got 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41.
Okay, yeah. So I did miscount. I must have counted one twice then. Because it wouldn't make sense for them to have 42 home games if they play 82 games. So, he would pass it by 1 because they only played 80 games back then.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I mean, he's got to get there first, but it's feeling pretty damn likely that he's going to be able to do that.
Maybe you forgot about the Bread Loves Hockey podcast jinx.
Oh shit! Oh no, Nathan.
But does it happen when it's released, or have we already spoken it into?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if it works
Next game.
if it works like the Jersey curse, as long as the spirit is in the air, I think the curse is in effect.
There's two more home games before this gets released, and then they're on the road for a bit. So by the time this comes out, his streak may be over.
Yeah, this whole segment could be completely wasted. Please
Yeah.
don't. Now, MacKinnon, you have to keep it alive for our podcast's sake. You have to
Yeah.
you
I
have to do
mean,
that for us.
I'm probably only 15 miles from wherever he is. Maybe he can hear me.
Yeah, maybe he can hop on for an episode or two.
Yeah.
I'm pushing it to 2 already. So I mentioned this before we got started. So Alexandria has officially denied or rejected the proposal from Ted Leonsis. I can never remember how his name's pronounced. Who's the owner for the Caps and the Wizards? So they've rejected his like $2 billion arena proposal for a new arena district, entertainment district in Alexandria, and so he's then subsequently signed an agreement with DC for a publicly funded $515 million arena like renovation project, which includes like adding it's like 200,000 more square feet for the building, and I'm sure there was some other stuff. So, I don't know. Talking to our friend Sam, who is from the near area, he's not in DC, but he lives in Virginia. He didn't really have a dog in the race, but I think a lot of Caps fans were hoping that the team would not move and that they'd stay there. So they're going to be there for up until at least 2050. So I think for Caps fans that didn't want the team to move, it's a win.
Yeah. I think he basically said, if Caps fans are happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, and he was saying that they got pretty good ticket holder retention, like re-upping for this upcoming season, like 95 or so percent for Caps fans and like 90% projected for Wizards fans. So that's pretty good. He's got to be feeling pretty good about that compared to like other teams. Like I feel like Buffalo has been having a lot of dropping numbers and some other teams. So yeah, that's good for them.
Fans are finally done. They're over it.
Yeah, I don't know how
Their
much
hearts
more
are
we can take
broken.
after the expectations coming into this season were so high, and you can just tell how sad some of the players are that they know that they just didn't get it done again this year. But yeah, just to close on the Caps situation. So, good to get a resolution. Sucks that it's publicly funded money. I always feel like it's such a weird thing where the owners are going to be reaping all these benefits for the project. I mean, I'm sure the public using the new building will get a lot out of it too, but ultimately it's the owners who benefit the most. But I liked the arena when we visited. It's in the Chinatown section of DC, which is kind of cool. So they have like a cool like sign with some, I assume, are Chinese characters on it, and the layout was like a little weird at the beginning where there's like elevators going up to the other floors, and so I think you have to go up those elevators in order to get to your seats if you're not in the main, like the 100 sections, which we were, so we didn't go up there. But yeah, overall I thought it was pretty nice. Not my favorite out of the ones I've been to, but not my least favorite for sure.
Also, while we're on the topic of the Caps, Ovi's been scoring a lot lately again. Where are you standing on the breaking Gretzky's record these days?
I mean, it's like isn't it just feeling like pretty good, like that he'll be able to get it done. I don't think next year is in the cards. I mean, he's at what, like 25 or 27?
848.
Yeah, okay.
I forget what Gretzky's done. Not 894.
Yeah, 890. How many on the season has it been for Ovi? Do you know? Like 27 or 28 or something like that. So like 40 next year is probably
got 26.
Yeah, so I
Is
don't
that
think
like 44 away?
Yeah, I don't think he can do it in the next season, but I do think he'll be able to do it in 2 seasons.
Also, he had a slow start. I mean, but again, he could start playing like early season OV for the next year or two, or he
Yeah, I
could just
mean,
keep playing like late season OV.
he could be playing like a
Hmm.
normal 39-year-old plays next year, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, he'll be 39 next season, so
Hmm.
it's like, is this guy really like gonna be able to? I mean, he's shown that he's like such a pure goal scorer, and he still has like strong skill, not with just one timers, but like I think he's had a couple breakaway goals this year, or maybe some at least some chances. So I don't know. I think that he's done enough this season to convince me that he will break the record. But curious
Yeah.
what you
I
think.
I like to think so. I mean, I go back and forth, but I want to believe, so I'm gonna believe.
Yeah, it's more fun that way for sure than being like he'll never do it. I love Gretzky and I don't like, it's like
Yeah.
just have a little fun, I guess. Maybe if you really just don't think that, like statistically or in your gut you don't feel like he's going to do it, fine, but I don't know. All the people, I don't think there are that many people who are like going on Twitter and dissing on people or dumping on people that believe, but there's so
Yeah.
many leeches out there. Yuck.
Hmm. Let people enjoy hockey how they want.
Yeah, it hockey Twitter can be pretty
Oh,
vicious sometimes.
did you see during one of the PWHL games they played a Taylor Swift song and you could hear like all these like girls singing like at the top of their lungs to Taylor Swift?
Oh yeah.
It was so awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. The PWHL New York is going to be playing a couple of games at the Prudential Center, um, which is cool. I was like kind of like, I don't know. I'm still sort of thinking if maybe I'd be able to go to one of those games. It would have to be the game on the 30th because I won't be able to do the one on the 20th since Zane is going to be coming up that weekend. So, but yeah, I don't know. It would be kind of cool, and I kind of do want to get one of the PWHL New York jerseys from this year, just because it's like if I really do become like a big part like fan of the team, it would be cool to have like the jersey history like I have with Vegas. I mean, I probably wouldn't get the away one, but
Yeah, there's like one from the inaugural year.
yeah, right. And I don't know. I was trying to find out like what the jersey sizing comparisons look like between like the
Oh,
Adidas
yeah.
ones and the PWHL, and I saw some charts, but it didn't really seem like it was adding up. I think people were saying that the sizes are definitely like a lot larger for the small. Like a small is like comparable to like a large in Adidas. I think like they're
Weird. You think it'd be the other way around?
yeah, I thought so too, but I think that's what people were saying is that they're a lot baggier, like they're meant to be more baggy and like designer, I guess. So that's why I don't want to buy one online because I really don't want to risk getting the size wrong. Like I'd rather be able to try one on in person, but kind
Makes
of
sense.
running out of time for that. They only have like 4 or 5 games left before the international break, and then the playoffs start. So
Mm.
crunch time, and who knows how many jerseys they even bring to Prudential. Like I don't know how the merchandising works.
Right. I'm sure enough.
I would hope so. Although it would be, I mean, it would still be fun to go, but it would be kind of disappointing if I went to the game and to get one and see the game, and then they didn't sell any or they ran out or something. But I don't know. We'll cross that bridge if we come to it. But yeah, we'll see. I'm just glad that they're being able to have other host like NHL arenas host games and sell out as well as they have like with XL Energy and with the Bell Center game coming up. how well those have sold out.
Yeah, it's great to see the success they've had.
Yeah, especially without the branding. Will be like we'll see if they stick with those leaked names that were rumored before it was officially announced that they weren't gonna use nicknames this year. If like those ones are actually what they'll stick with, or if they're gonna change things up. I think we both were in agreement that we didn't really care much for them.
There were some of the names I'm like, these are okay, but I didn't hate all of them.
I'm trying to. I don't know all of them. I think like the New York Sound and the Boston Wicked were those two names. They
Like
had
the Ottawa Sirens or something weird.
It was the Toronto Alerts, the
Alert.
Ottawa. No, was it? No, what was the Ottawa one? That one was also like an old team name, and then Montreal was. I don't know. They were all like sound and like weird things.
Yeah, they didn't have
Echo.
S's. They were in plural.
Oh, it was the Montreal Echo, Toronto. It was also TOR. So, Torch. Yeah, that one was weird. Toronto Torch in Minnesota, something or other. But there have been some fun like fan names. I think a lot of people were calling the New York team the Pizza Rats. That would be a great name.
Yeah,
I mean,
a good name.
I like the River Rats, the Albany River Rats name, and the logo was really well done. So I think Pizza Rats would be a lot more fun than the New York Sound.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if they actually did end up going with that. But you never know. I think Toronto Trash Pandas was also thrown around a bit for raccoons. I'm sure there could be some fun stuff with that. But I don't know. Yeah. It'll depend on how serious the league wants to take itself, I guess. Like you know, it's more of it feels like more of a minor league thing to call yourself the Trash Pandas or the Pizza Rats, but
yeah,
if they own up to it and like build an identity around those things, like yeah, it could be legitimate.
Yeah, I mean, so far they've been pushing away from like overall like super tight structure anyway, so like I could see them leaning in towards the more fun side of things. Like I also expected a lot from like the jerseys, obviously this year there aren't really any because there's no names.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of have high expectations for the jerseys.
Yeah,
so we will see.
We'll see how that goes going forward. Like if they're gonna keep the team colors after they get new owners, or if they're gonna change things up. I would think that they would probably keep the colors, but maybe with a rebrand they might need to change some things.
Yeah, because they're all like one solid color.
Yeah, they don't really have like I saw like a mock-up jersey for a Pizza Rats like New York logo where it was like or jersey where it was like that turquoise that they have, and then just like the rat with a stick and a pizza in his hand or his mouth, and it was like, would this really work? I don't know. Like those colors don't seem to align that well, but you never know. Maybe if it's like black with teal or turquoise accents, it could be a little bit better. But again, Pizza Rats is nothing definitive. I don't even know if like the league is like officially.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Reporting to you live. Top PWHL reporter Bread on the case. So yeah, we'll see. But it'll be fun.
The New York team will be the Pizza Rats, and MacKinnon's streak will end in the next 2 games. By the time you're hearing this, his streak is over.
But if I want the Pizza Rats thing to happen, I feel like the curse can't happen because I don't know. Maybe it could. I mean, I'm definitely rooting for it.
I definitely don't want them to be the Pizza Rats. Yeah. That would be terrible.
Yeah, I would hate that. So, hopefully, that works.
You finished your Mighty Ducks not so binge watch.
Yeah.
You watched it over. Last week you watched the first 2, right? Or
yeah, I'd watched the first 2, and then like a week later I watched the third one.
And I still haven't watched any of them.
Maybe you've never watched any of them?
I think I might have watched the first one.
I
but
thought you
don't
had
remember
seen
it.
them, so I guess the conversation won't be as enriching as it could be. But overall, I thought they were kind of fun enough. They're definitely retro now. Like the first one came out in 1992, which is older than me. I think the last one was 95 or 96, and it was cool that they like in the third movie they were like, they named a team after us, like an NHL team after us. It's like, wow, I didn't know that like the movie would actually reference that
Oh,
the
yeah.
NHL really brought in the team. I didn't.
Hmm.
I guess I should have figured that, but pretty cool.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
So yeah, they play in Anaheim in the tournament in D2, and then they like reference it in D3. Um, I don't know. I thought the kids were pretty fun. The plots were definitely a little loose, and there were some. I had some issues with some of the things I mentioned that uh, Coach Bombay, Gordon Bombay, said that the team was down 3 points, and I was like, ugh, that's like, yeah, you would not say points as as an NHL coach or not NHL, but as a coach for hockey. It's just some weird things like that, or just weird like plot holes or things. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really make sense. There's a lot of like the filming of the hockey plays that is just like so silly as a hockey fan. Like, the flying V, everybody always makes fun of that, which they do expose it in the movies, that it doesn't work every time. Like, oh, we just knocked all the players down, and then there's a 4-on-0 going the other way. But I don't know. What do you remember about the movie? I guess
Just
if you want to
flying
start
V.
Yeah, yeah.
Knuckle puck, is that from Way
Yeah,
Back?
so Keenan Thompson joins in the second movie, and then he's again in the third one, and he's like the character known for doing the knuckle puck. Which his like introduction to the series was like very like surprise. I was like, oh, okay. There's Keenan Thompson. His character is like in the stands watching the tournament for the second one, and then like he's like dogging on him the whole time, like, oh, these Ducks aren't very good or whatever, and then he ends up like his crew of like hockey friends in his neighborhood end up like challenging the Ducks and like teaching them stuff, and then eventually he just like joins the team. It's like, okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
They definitely played fast and loose with some of the rules for how these players can just like randomly join the teams, or oh, we're just calling them the Ducks now instead of Team USA in the world competition. So it was
Plan on
fun.
continuing watching hockey movies.
Yeah, I would like to watch some
Watch
other ones.
Slapshot.
Yeah.
MVP.
Yeah, MVP. I guess I'll have to check that one out.
'Cause that one I have seen like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago.
I don't think I've seen Miracle before either, actually.
And yeah, I've seen Miracle and Slapshot.
I've seen both Goons,
Both Goons, yep.
which
And then you've seen that documentary like Ice Guardians or whatever No.
no,
about like enforcers. It's on Netflix. It's pretty good.
I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check that one out.
That's about all the hockey movies I've seen. I think I saw Slapshot 2 as well.
There's a second one, I didn't even know.
I don't remember if there's a third one.
And I've seen some of Shorzy. I've like watched like 3 or 4 episodes. I wasn't like planning on watching them, but Zane had them on, so we were just checking them out.
Slapshot 3 came out in 2008 and got 4.1 out of 10.
So there's 3 Slapshot movies. Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
The second one came out in 2002, and the first one came out in 1977.
Oh my God, that's quite a gap.
Yeah.
Like a almost 40-year gap.
Well, what was
Not 40, like 25. Okay.
what's the cop movie with Farva in what is
Super
the
Troopers. Oh, Super Troopers
that
one
was
and
a big
two.
gap.
That one was a big gap. It wasn't. I don't think it was that big, but
2001 and 2018, 17 years.
17. So yeah, 17, like
And
25.
then this was 25, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So I've got to find where I can even watch those movies because I don't know.
You can watch Slapshot on YouTube, Amazon Prime, or Google Play for $4.
Uh, I'd have to rent them. Yeah. Maybe I do. I have been like when we work at the flea markets. I've been picking up DVDs that I want to have that I know aren't streaming anywhere, but I haven't seen any of the Slapshot ones. I don't think. But I'll keep my eyes out for them if I don't end up just biting the bullet and renting it. I guess. Even still, I could still get it after the fact and not have to rent it if I wanted to watch it again.
Yeah.
But I'll have to report back. But just to close on the Mighty Ducks stuff, I feel like watching them as an adult for the first time, like they definitely aren't as magical as like how I've heard them talked about. Especially the sequels were just not nearly at that same level, I guess. But
Fair.
they're fun and nice to see like some hockey movies that did well. Like obviously were very successful because hockey is not really represented in media all that well, and that the way they did it with like representing other groups, like having black players on the first like on the teams throughout, and having women playing on the team even through when they're into the high school tournament for D3. So that was cool because you don't always get to see that in actual hockey and other hockey movies. Which I had posed this just a little hypothetical here, speaking about that as far as when do you think women in the NHL will get like more prominent, more prestigious roles like referee or linesperson or head coach, general manager, things like that? Because I don't think any women have really broken through into those roles yet.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully soon. I feel like the NHL is the kind of league that follows other leagues. So, like, if it starts happening more in, like, the NFL and the NBA, I feel like that's when it would start happening in the NHL. I don't think, as much as I hate to say it, the NHL isn't going to be the league to, like, kind of break that barrier.
Pioneer it, yeah.
Yeah.
I know
So,
there are some women NFL officials,
yeah, I have seen that.
but I don't think
Hopefully soon.
I don't think I've seen any in the NHL.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
in
have
some of the
not.
minor leagues, and I think in the PWHL they have women officials too.
I mean, there are women in, like, other supporting roles. Like, I don't know about assistant coach, but, like, just, like, upper management on teams that, like, wasn't a thing even 5 or 6 years ago, maybe.
Yeah,
So, like, there's progress being made. It's just slow.
I think there was I think it was either a trainer or an assistant coach that like coached for a game or two on an NHL bench this year. There was like some story about that, which was kind of cool. Um, so yeah, I mean, like it does seem like eventually that'll happen. Maybe if like a particular women's team which is coached by like a woman goes on like a long successful run, and then maybe NHL franchises are like, you know what, we could use a new voice, somebody who was successful at the level that they were playing at. I could see certainly a woman head coach, or similar with the general manager. Maybe not so. Like it might be like you have to be brought through the franchise, like start as lower on, or maybe come on as an assistant and work your way up. But yeah,
Yeah, I
we'll
mean,
see.
I think the problem is even if it's like a man that like goes on this like if their team goes on an incredible run in like a lower level, it's like a team's just like, we're gonna hire this guy that just got fired because he was already a head coach in the NHL and like
Yeah, experience is definitely key.
familiarity, like people don't, I don't know. Everyone just hires their buddy from college that they knew, or like, oh,
Yeah,
I played with him,
it's
and
certainly who you know. Like you definitely have to have that like part of that be a factor. Like,
all
or
these
maybe
goalies
if
get,
it was
or
a former player or something like that too.
all these coaches, all these GMs just get recycled among the league. So like, it's so hard for new, like even if you have the talent, even if like you're one of the could be one of the best coaches in the league, it's like,
You
well,
never know.
hard to break in for any gender.
Yeah, for anyone. That's definitely true. Which I know that's been like a complaint for a long time is that there aren't too many teams trying to replace either within their organization or just replace from someone that hasn't coached before. We did see that with a couple guys like Ryan Huska and Greg Cronin, who are now head coaches. But yeah, it's definitely few and far between.
Yep. Someday though.
We're pushing for you, women, and underrepresented groups in general, I guess. I don't know.
Got anything else?
Yeah, we can just quickly close on. There was another case regarding the 2010 Blackhawks team and Brad Aldrich that is going through the courts right now. I think it's like the trial would be set for like 2026, something like that. Which this player, unnamed player, just written as John Doe, was in a similar situation to Kyle Beach in that they served as a black ace for, I think it was still Rockford at the time, and they were going, could potentially play in the playoff run if needed. So that sounds like there was also a similar situation of some form of sexual assault there. So there was arguments about statute of limitations on this sort of thing, and I think the lawyer for the player sort of argued that because of new light that came about during the Kyle Beach investigation as far as how Blackhawks management controlled or was able to deal with the situation with this new John Doe, like how they handled things with Kyle Beach and how they handled things with this player, that they were able to like reopen or bring the case to the courts for the first time, to the police, because I think it was that the initial report that was supposed to go to police was never filed or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this person also deserves a settlement. And I don't know how I feel about it, like being brought back in the public. Like I can see one side where it's like, it'll put more pressure on the Chicago franchise, but at the same time, I don't know how Kyle Beach feels about like this all being brought back up, and like he probably is trying to just move on from it. So like, I don't know.
Well, it sounds like he would probably be subpoenaed if this case does end up going to trial. So yeah, like Dean said, it would be definitely tough to go through this again after what already happened with him and the Blackhawks. But I mean, I feel like if he knows the player and maybe if he had some familiarity is like what might have happened, might be empathetic towards wanting to get the best for this player.
Right.
So it's just tough that things are still coming out, and I do think that there has been some sort of organizational change with the Blackhawks. Obviously, we don't know, like we're not insiders or anything. We don't work for the for the team, but it just based on how they've been trying to handle things going forward, it seems like they've got a better grasp on how to deal with situations similar to this for the future. So at least there's some positives. But yeah, it's just tough to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we'll be getting too many regular updates on that one. It sounds like it's a little bit out of the way as far as the near future, but maybe if there's a settlement or something. And just to close it up, Ethan Bear just announced, the league announced today that Ethan Bear is going to be entering the Players Assistance Program, so he's taken a leave of absence for the time being. So we'll wish Ethan the best. Hopefully, whatever he's battling, he'll be able to get over that. It's been good to see the amount of players using the Players Assistance Program this year, but like we've mentioned previously, it's tough that all these players are going through something. But good to have those resources, and there's a lot less stigma around using it. There's still always going to be the yahoos online that are just terrible.
Rub some dirt in it.
Yeah, exactly. They just discredit any sort of, if it's mental health or if it's something else we don't know. I don't really need to know, but yeah, I feel like there's always going to be people who treat these hockey players like they have to be robots, and they can't do anything other than be perfect athletes and think about the game like 24/7, which not a realistic expectation. So
especially I don't get the backlash if it's like someone on your team, because like please come back, hopefully like a better player. Like
I mean, betting yourself in one aspect of your life is definitely gonna make you more confident in your hockey ability, if you want to think about it that way. If you don't care about them growing as a person.
Like, I mean, players all have their own like nutritionists and stuff, but a lot of players have like just like, I don't know if it's mental health or like they focus on like
sports psychology.
Sports psychology, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I know Nathan MacKinnon has said that he has like a sports psychologist that he's worked with for years, and he's been pretty open about that and how much he focuses on his mental health being part of his game. So
yeah. Well, there was the 32 Thoughts just had an interview with James Van Riemsdyk, and he was talking about the same thing. Like, he has like a sports psychologist, and like, cause they're asking him about how like he's so good at tipping the puck, like redirecting it, and like he does like in the off season like eye training and stuff like that. Like, I mean, your brain's a muscle too, like something that can be trained. And it's just good to see that NHL players have so many resources now.
Yeah, there's like I don't know if you're familiar with Casimir Kaskisuo, who was he had a couple games for Toronto as a goalie, and he like bounced around a little bit. He was like the third goalie for Nashville. He played a little bit in Sweden, and now he's playing for the Laval Rocket in the AHL. But he's also a content creator, a YouTuber, and so he's like talked about some of the programs he has with like using VR goggles to run programs for like simulating actual game action, or simulating just being able to do hand-eye coordination or eye exercises and things like that. So that's kind of cool.
That's cool,
it is, especially with goalie, where it's like you can't really practice in the same way as like a forward or a defenseman, because it's like if you're just by yourself, you can just shoot on a net or work on your skating or whatever, which you can still skate as a goaltender, but like obviously the big part is having somebody there who's shooting on you while you're in net, so you can't really work on that as well when you're by yourself on the ice, at least. But if you have these sort of resources like using VR or these designed exercises specifically for goalies, you can still improve like at the rink or at like the gym or whatever, you know. So that's cool.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to highlight also just for some fun, because I did start looking at the rule book. I started reading it from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been sort of highlighting
The obscure stuff.
some stuff that I thought was kind of interesting that I didn't really know about. So I just wanted to quickly go through a couple of the sections or little caveats that I thought were kind of interesting that I wasn't aware of. So I'll just go first with this one. So this is Rule 5.1, eligible players for teams. So one thing I didn't know is one non-uniformed player shall be permitted on the player's bench in a coaching capacity. He must be indicated on the roster sheet submitted by the coach to the referee or official scorer prior to the start of the game. So I didn't know that you could do that.
I want to know the last time that's been used.
I would also like to know one
I think
non-uniformed
that might be a
player.
question one of us should send in, because so again, 32 Thoughts podcast, they have like a phone line and an email, and like people ask these kind of questions. It's like, especially weird like streaks or records that like you can't find online. Like you'll ask, and like Jeff Merrick will figure it out, or like ask someone.
Yeah,
Like, I've never seen any game where it's like, oh, and behind the bench is an injured Patrice Bergeron, like coaching or whatever.
yeah. Which is, that's so interesting. And so part of this also, which I didn't know, the determining factor when considering whether or not a player is eligible is that the player's name and not necessarily the player's number must be correctly listed by the manager or coach of that team. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, as long as you have the player's name in there, and maybe he like changes his number last second if he like just got there, like he just got traded to the team or something, they could still play. I just didn't know that you didn't necessarily need to have the number also correctly reported.
Interesting.
Kind of fun. Let's see, what else do I have here? Okay. In the event that two regular goalkeepers are injured or incapacitated in quick succession, the third goalkeeper shall be provided with a reasonable amount of time to get dressed, in addition to a 2-minute warm-up, which I knew that, but it says except when he enters the game to defend against a penalty shot. So if there's a penalty shot on
they
the
don't get a
third
warm-up?
goalie, they don't get a warm-up. That's fascinating. I don't know if that's happened, or even if it did, if they would
the
call
only
it right.
way I'd see it is a player gets tripped on a breakaway and slides into the goalie, and that's how he gets hurt.
Yeah, slides into the backup goalie after the first goalie got
Yeah.
hurt in that game, and then the emergency backup goalie comes in and immediately has to, like, can't get the 2-minute warm up and just has to get in there. Is like potentially like a college student or someone who retired from the game years ago come in and save an NHL shot.
There'd be a lot of pressure on the shooter too. Like, oh, I can't not score this.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah. You'd never hear the end of that one, especially if you lost the game.
Yeah.
So that one I thought was funny, and again, like that one is one where I feel like if that situation did happen, they wouldn't necessarily think about that, and they would give him the warm up anyways. Like they would get it wrong according to the rule book.
Yeah, I wonder how many of these obscure ones the referees know. Like, I mean, obviously the ones that you see every night, they have like no have down pat, but like these obscure ones are probably like they read it once, like, wow, I'll never have to know that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, how well read and how informed are these referees and officials on everything, like all aspects of the rule book. Like I'm sure
Theoretically, they should be the best referees in the world for hockey. Like,
they should be. They should be
the best.
the most educated. Oh, so this one was just kind of funny. So this is Rule 6, captain and alternate captains. So it said before here, Only the captain, when invited to do so by the referee, shall have the privilege of discussing any point related to the interpretation of rules. And then it says in the next paragraph, a complaint about a penalty is not a matter relating to the interpretation of the rules, like they even quote it. So it's like, okay, I do like how this is written, and that like it reads a little more real. Like there's times where they like clarify their statements to be a little more specific. So it's just kind of funny, like, yeah, complaining about a penalty does not constitute that, because we know that you're gonna try to, try to say something. And I did note the section where it does spell out, no playing coach or playing manager or goalkeeper shall be permitted to act as captain or alternate captain. So that's where it spells out that the goalie can't be captain. I didn't know that they couldn't be alternate either. And I never would have even considered a coach or playing manager as being a captain, but
Right, where you have like a C on your blazer.
C on your little jacket, your little lapel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one.
A little pocket square that has a C. You like pull it out. You're like, I'm the captain. Look. Yeah.
Not only am I head coach, I'm also captain.
Yes.
So that one was kind of fun. Let's see what we have here. Rule 7, starting lineup 7.2. For an infraction of this rule, a bench minor penalty shall be imposed upon the offending team. This is an appeal play, must be brought to the referee's attention prior to the second face-off in the game. So this is for if a player who wasn't on the official starting lineup ended up playing in the game. So this is an appeal play and must be brought to the referee's attention prior to the second face-off in the game. It's just like interesting that it's spelled out. There's no penalty to the requesting team if their appeal is unsustained, which is kind of funny. You can just be like, are you sure he was on the official roster? And if they check and he's like, yes, he was, like, okay, whatever, no penalty. The determining factor is the player or goalkeeper's name and not necessarily the number is listed. Yeah, so they re-spell that out there. So there's like, as I kept reading, it was interesting seeing like the types of requests like you can theoretically make that like never happen in the game. Like, oh, are you sure? Like, oh, better get it in before the second face-off to make sure that guy was on the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Let's see. When the injured player's team has controlled the puck in the attacking zone, the face-off shall be conducted at the nearest face-off spot in the neutral zone. I think I'm not sure. There might have been more context to that one. Maybe that was. Well,
You know, at the bottom of the rule book, they have the schedule for the whole year.
do they?
Yeah, I was just looking to see how many I'm scrolling through the table of contents, which is at the end, but like all the rule numbers, because you're probably you know what rule number you made it to.
Yeah, right now I'm at 9.6.
Wow, there's a lot of stuff at the end of the rule book.
Mm.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, I
Okay, because I was looking like
I've just
offside
started.
is 81 or something, but there are 87 rules.
Mm.
The last one being timeouts.
Yeah, so I'm just getting started.
But then there's like 16 reference tables.
Yeah, I'm sure. A lot of appendices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This one here, if the goalkeeper deliberately removes his helmet and or face mask when the opposing team is on a breakaway during the course of a penalty shot or shootout attempt, the referee shall stop play and award a goal to the non-offending team. So like, it's kind of nice that it's in there. Like, yeah, you just take your helmet off deliberately. We're just gonna give the other team the goal.
Right. Well, that's tough too, because like you see if like one strap gets loose, how like the goalies will like shake it off. Like there's like kind of like a gray area to that one.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to make the determination of how like deliberate. Like if they didn't get shot on and then their mask just comes off.
Decide to pull David Leggio it.
Yeah, exactly. So again, like there's so many cases that they prepare for. They have something on, but it's just so unrealistic. There's a lot of stuff about doing requests for stick measurements. So a request for a stick measurement shall be limited to one request per team during the course of any stoppage in play. So you can request stick measurements, and they have it in here. A player whose stick has been measured and it is found not to conform to the rule shall be assessed a minor penalty and a fine of $200. So they have that in there, and then second offense in the same season, players shall, in addition to the minor penalty, be fined $1,000. Third offense, minor penalty, and then game misconduct and automatic game suspension. And then it keeps going. Like you can accrue more suspensions and things, but it's
That's
like
an interesting one because that
so
one's not
strange.
like challenging for offside where there's a penalty if you're wrong. Like you can just every game be like, yeah, that guy. I want to check his stick.
Yeah, and I think they have in here also that if you if they realize that a player who used an illegal stick scored a goal, I think the goal might still count. I have to double check that. Oh, let's see. Not sure. But then they also have stick measurement prior to a shootout attempt specifically. If the stick is legal, the complaining club forfeits their next shootout attempt. In
Oh,
addition,
so
the
it is a
complaining club's
penalty.
coach shall be fined $1,000, and the club shall be fined $5,000. Their next shootout
Wow.
attempt would be recorded as no goal. So I
Hmm.
just like, can you imagine that? Like, oh, before the shootout, before the guy goes for the shootout, like before the referee blows the whistle, I'm gonna check his stick. Oh, it was legal.
Yeah.
Guess we lose $1,000. The coach loses $1,000. The club loses $5,000, and they get a no goal recorded for their
Weird
attempt.
having a fine for like a challenge. Like it's not like
Yeah,
normally it's a penalty for doing something wrong. Like if it's in the rule book, like I'd like to do this. It's like, okay, well if you're wrong, you just lose money.
I
Like
guess it's just
sorry.
like you really better know what the hell you're doing if you're gonna try some shenanigans like this.
Yeah.
Like,
Which again, that's what I was saying. Like if there's no penalty to do it. It's like why aren't people just saying, I want to check his stick. I want to check his stick.
yeah, yeah. So they have plenty of these iterations for things that could theoretically come into play, but not all of them. And I think yeah, that is where I left it. That was the last item that I had of note highlighted. But I will keep going scrubbing through as time permits if I feel like I'm bored, and just try to give you guys some of the juicier, more interesting things you might not be familiar with, because it's fun to know these sort of niche little things that, yeah, it's probably never gonna matter, but if it does, or if they get something wrong that the rule book has spelled out differently, you can be the Twitter warrior who gets the extra likes.
There you
Like,
go.
oh look, hold on guys, they got this one wrong. See,
Well, technically, according to Rule 8.2.1,
exactly.
doesn't everyone want to be that guy on
Yeah,
Twitter?
yeah, people love those. The well
Yeah.
actuallys, totally. Actually, the refs are wrongo. Yeah.
When you're gonna go to a game and dress up as a ref and cheer on the refs instead of the team?
Yeah. Oh gosh, that sounds horrible. I don't even. It would be kind of fun to have a referee's uniform. I feel like for the potential, like sketches or skits that I could do with it, maybe. But I don't even know. I don't even know where you can buy that stuff.
Yeah, I
Maybe,
don't know. Gotta know a
maybe
guy.
it probably like you like because they don't make like replica ones for just for, like everyday fans to wear. Like you have
Yeah.
to. I think you'd probably have to get one actually worn by a play. I mean, I'm sure somebody makes them, but it's not like anybody affiliated with the NHL or
Yeah.
other leagues. Are you trying to find out?
No, well, technically, I do know a guy. I was trying to figure out. You only know
Oh,
Don Kaharski, right?
yeah, Coho,
Was yeah, his brother
rule analyst.
coached or not coached, refed in the AHL, and he worked with my dad at the airport.
Oh yeah, I think you've mentioned that before.
I forget brother Terry. That doesn't sound right though. Terry, I guess
Terry
Terry Kaharski.
Koharski. Doesn't really
I
roll
guess,
off
I
the
don't know.
tongue.
He also just went by Coho. So.
Mm. And that works really well because Coho was at one point in the league, like as a jersey manufacturer.
Well, Don Koharski had a quote saying, "My brother Terry is the most revered official to ever retire from the game in minor pro hockey." So there you go, Terry Koharski. Hit him up if you want a referee uniform.
Maybe someday. Well, I don't. I have no idea how much they would cost, and again, not high in my priority list. There are definitely some, like, I'm hoping that we get some halfway decent Adidas, like, closing out stock sales, because there are certainly some that I still have on my radar. I still want to get, I feel like I want to get both the home and the alternate Centennial Bruins jerseys from this season. I'd like to get some other just ones I don't have that aren't like anything rare, but like the Wild home jersey I don't have. That's one that I would kind of like to get. Just some other ones like that where it's like it's not super expensive. I could get them for not a crazy price, but you know it adds up. And I'd rather prioritize the ones that are going to be the most difficult to get after the fact. Some other styles from this year, like ideally I would like to have the Rangers Stadium Series and maybe, I mean the Devils one I'll never be able to get because those ones are legitimately going for like $800 minimum.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean there was somebody sold one on the hockey jerseys subreddit for like 400 or 450, but it wasn't in my size. And even still, that's like a absurd price that I wouldn't pay.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Even if you're a Devils fan.
Yeah, I'm not even a devil. Like, I really like that jersey. I thought it looked great, and that's the one that I would have wanted to get the most. But I have my limits. It might not look like I do, but I do have my limits. I probably for some of these last 3 reverse retros, I might have to break the bank a little bit, but I'm holding out to see if I can get a not absurd price. Keep your eyes peeled, Dean. I'm sure you'd be the first one to know.
Yeah.
And
I told you maybe I'll just stumble upon a Avalanche reverse retro in like
a thrift shop or
in a
something
random
near you.
thrift shop. You know, like,
That would be incredible.
Yeah, I doubt it. Though.
And then you keep it for yourself and sell it online. Or you list it on eBay
buy a
and then
Bruins
I
jersey.
buy it. Like, Dean, I found this insane one. It's actually somebody was selling it from your area. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, oh wow, that is crazy,
Weird.
but how about that? I don't think Dean would do that.
No.
But yeah, thanks for sticking with us today, and please subscribe if you haven't done so. We're getting closer to that 30 number, so get us there if you haven't done so. I feel like I should think of some like consistent outro that like outro phrase that I use each time for subscribing. That way I can get into a more normal sounding rhythm, but maybe at some point.
Well, you could pre-record something and just throw it on at the end, but that's not as genuine.
No. I gotta put a little bit of flair on it each time.
Yeah.
And thank you for subscribing to the Bread Loves Hockey podcast. We'll see you next time, folks.
Yeah.
Toodaloo. Which is
The only
crazy.
person to you just lagged. You probably just missed all that on your recording. The only person. Let me just restart that.
Sure.